Hello, you're watching CVR News English. This is Savila Kottapalli. Welcome to World Bulletin. Well, moving into the details, in the small village of Dixville North, New Hampshire's 6 voters cast their ballots at midnight, marking the first votes in the US election. Well, known for its tradition of being the first to vote, the town has held this distinction since 1960. Well, located near the Canadian border, this tiny community in the heart of the forest once again set the stage for the national election as it continues its long-standing tradition of voting first in the nation.
Supervisors advise that all registered voters have voted.
Well, the voters across the United States have headed to the polls to cast their votes in the highly anticipated 2024 US presidential election. The race is a fierce battle between current Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamalaharris and former President Donald Trump, who is seeking a return to office under the Republican banner. Well, as the polls close, the votes will be counted and with the results in a few hours. Well, this election is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched and contentious in the recent history. Well, as they campaign across Pennsylvania and other battleground states on the final frantic day of the exceptional close U.S. presidential election, both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris predicted victory. Each candidate expressed confidence in their chances, with Trump rallying his supporters with optimism, while Harris maintained a strong belief in her campaign success.
On the final day of their respective presidential campaigns, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both predicted victory on Monday, with opinion polls showing them locked in a dead heat. The candidates concentrated their efforts in Pennsylvania, the biggest prize on Election Day among the 7 states expected to decide the outcome. Trump appeared before a large crowd in Pittsburgh, where he delivered what his campaign called his closing message to voters.
I will restore peace in the world, and I will rescue the American dream.
Trump pushed economic themes, vowing to deliver an economic boom, while warning Harris would bring economic misery.
My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't.
Trump's frantic Monday schedule also included stops in the battleground states of North Carolina and Michigan before returning to his Florida home Monday night. Meanwhile, Harris packed in 5 campaign stops in Pennsylvania throughout the day. In Allentown, she appealed to the city's sizable Puerto Rican community after a comedian at a Trump rally last week made racist comments about Puerto Ricans and other minority groups.
We are not going back. We are not going back.
Later, Harris went door-knocking in Reading and held her own brief rally in Pittsburgh. Harris ended the day with an event in Philadelphia, where she was joined by A-list celebrities including Lady Gaga and Oprah Winfrey. Harris forecast a close race and for the last time implored Pennsylvanians to get out the vote.
The race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single vote matters.
The Harris campaign says its internal data shows that undecided voters are breaking in their favor. It reports an increase in early voting among core parts of its coalition, including young voters and voters of color. Trump campaign officials meanwhile said they were monitoring early voting results that show more women have voted than men. That is significant considering Harris's 12-point edge over Trump among female registered voters, according to an October Reuters Ipsos poll. The winner may not be known for days after Tuesday's vote. Trump and his allies, who falsely claim his 2020 election loss was the result of fraud, have already signaled they will attempt to fight any defeat. They have spent months laying the groundwork to again challenge the result if he loses. Harris campaign officials said any attempts by Trump to allege fraud will fail, while Democrats say they have plans in place should Trump try to prematurely claim victory.
Well, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump arrived on the stage for his final campaign rally before Elections Day in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, during the rally, Trump vowed to lead the United States to new heights of glory as he delivered his closing pitch to supporters, emphasizing his vision for the country's future in the final stretch of the election.
It's unbelievable. Think of it. This is it. This is the last one that we're having. But over the past 4 years, Americans have suffered one catastrophic failure, betrayal, and humiliation after another. Kamalaharris has delivered soaring prices.
Meanwhile, Kamalaharris urged Americans to vote in what she described as one of the closest races in history during her final campaign speech in the battleground state of Pennsylvania as the election neared its conclusion. Harris emphasized the importance of voter participation in shaping the country's future.
However, the race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single vote matters. However, the race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single.
Well, speaking to media about the U.S. presidential race between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, Indian expressed their support for both candidates, citing different reasons. Well, a Trump supporter from New York noted that an increasing number of Indian Americans are aligning with the Republican Party, emphasizing a growing trend of support. In contrast, a Democratic delegate for Kamala Harris praised the Vice President, stating that Harris had run a phenomenal campaign and had done a tremendous job in her role.
Harris ended the day with an event in Philadelphia. She appealed to the city.
My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't.
Trump's frantic Monday schedule also included stops in the battleground states of North Carolina and Michigan before returning to his Florida home Monday night. Meanwhile, Harris packed in 5 campaign stops in Pennsylvania throughout the day. In Allentown, she appealed to the city's sizable Puerto Rican community after a comedian at a Trump rally last week made racist comments about Puerto Rico.
A Pennsylvania judge ruled that Elon Musk's $1 million a day giveaway to swing state voters could proceed. Well, the decision came just one day before the closely contested U.S. presidential election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, Musk's favored candidate. Well, the ruling has sparked attention due to its timing and the potential impact on voter engagement.
Ruled billionaire Elon Musk's $1 million a day giveaway to voters there can continue. The ruling comes just a day before the presidential election on Tuesday. At the hearing in Philadelphia on Monday, Judge Angelo Follietta rejected Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner's bid to block the giveaways. Krasner had alleged the payouts amounted to an illegal lottery with hazily defined rules and that they violate state consumer protection laws. Before the ruling, a lawyer and advisor for Musk's pro-Trump super PAC said in court that the winners were handpicked and not randomly chosen, as the billionaire has asserted. Musk lawyer Chris Gober said the giveaway was not a prize, but rather compensation for people chosen to serve as spokespeople for Musk's America PAC. Before the ruling came down, he told reporters that his client wouldn't be bullied.
We don't allow our rights to be trampled upon by partisan agendas masquerading as legal arguments.
Musk has already given away $16 million to registered swing state voters who qualify for the giveaway by signing his political petition supporting free speech and gun rights.
Make sure they vote early.
The offer is limited to registered voters in the 7 states expected to decide the election: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The Tesla CEO said the final $1 million winner would be announced on Election Day. His giveaway falls in a gray area of election law, with legal experts divided on whether Musk could be violating federal rules against paying people to register to vote. The U.S. Department of Justice has warned America PAC the giveaway could violate federal law, according to media reports, but federal prosecutors have not taken any public action. According to federal disclosures, Musk has so far given nearly $120 million to America PAC to promote voter mobilization and registration efforts.
External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar clarified the disengagement agreements finalized on October 21st marked the end of the separation of troops along the India-China border, a critical step following the tensions of 2020. He noted that while disengagement has been completed, de-escalation remains the next priority, particularly regarding military buildups along the line of control. Well, Dr. Jaishankar highlighted the complexity of managing relations between the two rising populous nations and stressed the need for careful diplomacy to maintain stability both at the border and in border bilateral ties.
Now, on October 21st, was the last set of what we call disengagement agreement. The troops, which is why the word disengagement, having them go back to their normal, operating basis as far as possible, and also resuming patrol in the way in which it used to be done in 2020. The disengagement chapter is done. Its implementation will happen in the coming days to everybody's satisfaction. Part which awaits us is what we call the de-escalation, which is the build-up of forces along the line of actual control. Our relationship was also very profoundly affected because It has always been an assumption on our side that peace and tranquility in the border areas is a prerequisite for the development of our ties. Since peace and tranquility was disturbed, including one major incident of bloodshed, our relationship with China has cut back in different ways.
I think a lot of countries, including Australia, look to your relationship with China. And the negotiations across a range of issues that India has dealt with, and of course recently the two countries announced a way forward on resolving these disputes. We of course have been there before when it comes to China and making agreements and then breaking agreements. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts on where you see the India-China relationship, having now made that seeming breakthrough. Where do you see that relationship going in the next few years, given that it's not just important for India and China, but the relationship is really vital for the region itself?
Sure. Justin, let me split that into three parts. What did we just negotiate? What still lies ahead of us? And in a sense, what's our medium, long-term view of the particular relationship? What we negotiated just now on October 21st was the last set of what we call disengagement agreements, which essentially means that after the summer of 2020, Chinese and Indian troops have been deployed, have been forward deployed, you can say, along the line of actual control in distances which were extremely concerning. And the priority has been to find ways of separating the troops, which is why the word disengagement, having them go back to their normal operating basis as far as possible, and also resuming patrol in the way in which it used to be.
Well, Australia's foreign minister has raised allegations with her Indian counterpart that India has targeted Sikh activities in Canada. Well, Foreign Minister Penny Wong said she discussed the Canadian allegations with Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar while he was in the Australian capital, Canberra. Well, India has denied Canada's allegation that Indian Home Minister Amit Shah ordered the targeting of Sikh activities inside Canada. Well, Wong said her message to the Sikh community was that people have a right to be safe and respected in Australia, regardless of who they are. Well, we have made clear our concerns about the allegations under investigation. Well, we have said that we respect Canada's judicial process. Well, Wong said at a news conference with Jaishankar.
Minister for External Affairs of India back to Australia for his second visit this year following the very successful Indian Ocean Conference that we held in Perth. This is our 19th meeting and of my counterparts, Jai is the person with whom I've met most, and that says something about our friendship. It says something about my regard for him and the wisdom and insight he always brings to our discussions, but it also says something about the relationship between our two countries, which is of such great importance to Australia and I believe for India too. We are comprehensive strategic partners. We are Quad partners, we share a region and we share a future, and we see India as just so important in terms of securing the region we both want and the world we both want. We've had an excellent discussion this morning. We talked in particular about the architecture, the comprehensive strategic partnership we have. Next year is the 5-year anniversary, and we spoke about the next stage of ambition in that relationship. Obviously, apart from the very important bilateral relations between governments and our very important work together in the region and multilaterally, one of the beating heart of the relationship is the people-to-people links, the community ties of about 1 million Australians who trace their heritage to India, and really pleased at the engagement from the diaspora as well. We cooperate across really important sectors: science, technology, clean energy, agricultural, education, skills and tourism. In relation to progressing our tech cooperation, I am announcing today that the Australian Government will award $1.6 million in grant funding for 6 impressive projects under the Australia-India Cyber and Critical Technology Partnership. So my congratulations to the winners, which are the Australia-India Institute, the ANU, the CSIRO, the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, Monash University and the National Institute of Strategic Resilience. These are great projects on priority areas such as undersea cables, responsible development principles for quantum technologies and digital public infrastructure. Obviously, India is I think it's the fastest growing major economy. It's an essential partner for Australia as we continue to strengthen and diversify our trade links and secure our...
Well, a day after a Hindu temple was attacked by Khalistani extremists, over 1,000 Canadian Hindus gathered outside the Hindu Sabha Mandir in Brampton on November 4th, well, to protest against the repeated attacks on Hindu temples in Canada. Well, participants holding both Indian and Canadian flags condemned the violent attack, while they chanted slogans such as Jai Shri Ram and Har Har Mahadev, expressing their outrage and solidarity in response to the ongoing violence.
No message, no problem. Har Har Mahadev! Har Har Mahadev! Har Har Mahadev! Political system ke liye salam. Be more and peace, be more and peace. No message, मेरा यार है अभी catch me! Mosques and churches may have the power to give one suggestion and whole community follows that. I find it the strength of Hindu community that we don't become the herd. Be more and peace, be more and peace. No message, no problem.
Boeing's U.S. West Coast factory workers accepted a new contract offer, effectively ending a 7-week strike that had halted most jet production and worsened the financial crisis at the troubled plane maker. Well, the agreement brought relief to the company as it allowed operations to resume following a period of significant disruption.
The big strike at Boeing is over. West Coast factory workers voted Monday to accept a new offer on pay. That will see them get a 38% bump over 4 years. Union negotiators had recommended that members back the new offer. The deal ends the first strike in 16 years by the company's largest union and will be a relief for Boeing. Analysts estimate the stoppage was costing it around $100 million per day. It brought to a halt output of many jets, including its best-selling 737 MAX. Now it will take time to ramp up production and get cash flowing in again. Two sources told Reuters that 737 output was expected to languish in the single digits per month for some time. That's far short of the 38 per month that Boeing had targeted before the strike. The company has lurched from crisis to crisis this year, starting with a mid-air blowout on one of its MAX planes. That put Boeing's manufacturing quality under fresh scrutiny and led to production curbs imposed by regulators. Now new Chief Executive Kelly Ortberg will hope to reset relations with workers who had been angered by years of below-inflation wage increases. Analysts estimate the new deal will add some $1.1 billion to the firm's wage bill over the next 4 years, with a one-off ratification bonus for union members to add even more. Union negotiators call it a victory.
Well, volunteers and emergency workers continued their cleanup operations in the muddy streets of Valencia as Spain recovered from the devastation of its worst floods in decades. With the floods which had claimed the lives of 218 people, also left an unknown number of individuals missing, while the country remains in shock as it deals with the aftermath of deadly disaster. A Russian rocket successfully blasted off, carrying 2 Iranian satellites into orbit, while the launch highlighted the increasing cooperation between Moscow and Tehran, reflecting their strengthened ties in space and other areas.
Прошел контакт подъема. Двигатели центрального и боковых блоков вышли на результатные ступени. 10 секунд. Параметры системы управления ракеты-носителя в норме. 20 секунд. Двигатели первой и второй ступени работают нормально. 30 секунд. Параметры конструкции ракеты-носителя в норме. 40 секунд. Стабилизация изделия устойчивая. 50 секунд. Давление в камерах сгорания двигателей ракеты-носителя в норме. 60 секунд. Полет нормальный.
Well, those were the latest updates in World Bulletin. Keep watching CVR News English. This is Havila Kottapalli. Have a good day.